I'm just going to start it up, and I apologize for the technical difficulties. Of course, Murphy's Law always happens, so I just want to say thank you for taking your time out and coming to spend this hour with me and the rest of the team with Fortinet and Christine and Chris. If you guys don't know me, my name is Mike Millar. I'm from Netview Consulting. The company's been around since about 2000 and worked with many companies around North America. If you have any questions, we can talk about it afterwards, or you can put it into the chat. We're just going to go through some things about the security-driven network and see what solutions come out that can help you, or we can work on together. Just a little bit more about us. I'm from Netview Consulting. We offer various products. We do business infrastructures, whether it's small or large. Netview provides consultation and managed services for clients, and we help them reduce costs. And we help by providing a full end-to-end service of products that range from anything from like hosted firewall, network connectivity, we provide circuits, and all this is including SD-WAN as well. I'm also working with Fortinet for a lot of our security practice. So Fortinet's probably one of the only ones that we can have a full security assessment. So we do cyber threat assessments with firewall with Fortinet, so that we can gain information on what's going on in that person's network. All right. So typically, when we do an assessment for somebody, it's usually about 70% of those networks that have an assessment done have some sort of bad stuff on their network. I don't know how many people can confidently say they know everything that's lurking around on their network. So that's one of the things that we look at, and one of the things that we try to help customers with. And it's a thing that's happening all the time. And it's also because you cannot protect against what you can't see. How are you going to protect it? So using a cybersecurity platform from Fortinet, it gives us a broad visibility across the entire digital platform to help manage risks better. Right? With Fortinet, we have integrated solutions, so it helps reduce the complexity of supporting multiple areas in your network. The Fortinet fabric helps organizations provide their digital customization, digital outcomes. And this includes SD-WAN, providing the security service with SD-WAN and delivering advanced routing or self-healing or flexible security on your links, providing that failover solution to help your company stay alive. And really, it's one of the only ones. All this integration and everything that you get, it's all in a box that's in the Magic Quadrant. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have Chris come up and talk.
Okay, so my name is Chris Zetazate. I'm the pre-sale security engineer from Fortinet. And along with me actually is Allison, who's also on the line. I don't know if she can unmute herself, but we cover the pretty much central Canada and help out customers and partners alike. So anyway, I'm here to talk about a little bit about Fortinet, right? So who we are and where we come from. So you can see there 20 years. That's a long time, right? So the company has been around for 20 years. That's 2 decades. So the company was founded by 2 brothers, Ken C and Michael C. And if you guys know NetScreen, so Ken actually founded NetScreen. So I don't know if anyone's familiar with the name NetScreen. They were sold to Juniper. So Juniper Networks now owns NetScreen. So the Screen OS and all that stuff, the firewall that became Juniper NetScreen is basically Juniper came from NetScreen, right? So Ken founded that company. So he's been in the industry for quite a long time. And one of the things that he stated with regards to Fortinet is he wanted to create a solution that takes care of, making sure that the security is embedded into the network infrastructure, just the overall infrastructure, right? So that's one of the things. So just try to remember that, because that's throughout this presentation, you'll see why, why he created this company. And, up to now and into the future, that stays true, right? So, and you can see right there, security-driven networking, right? So that's one of the key messages that we have, is making sure that your environment is security-driven. You know, security is not an afterthought. It's part of the infrastructure. It's part of your design, right? So anyway, let's move on. So the company is based in the States, but there's actually a fairly large Canadian presence. We've got 2 data centers here in Canada. So for those that are concerned about, the data leaving Canada, for example, you have nothing to worry about with Fortinet, right? So we've got data centers in Canada, we've got data centers in the States and across the world, right? So the other thing too that I want to point out is we've got, over 6,000 customers just in Canada alone, right? So we've got lots and lots of Canadian customers already, and we've got 1,500 employees in Canada. Okay, so and the other part too is the Canadian government has actually standardized on the Fortinet portfolio in terms of their network infrastructure, right? So that's something to think about and keep in mind. If the government of Canada is using Fortinet, why shouldn't you be using Fortinet, right? The other thing too that I want to point out on this slide is 3 of the 5 largest banks in the country uses our products. So lots and lots of stats here that basically makes us really proud to be in this market, be part of the Canadian industry, right? So moving on, in the past, or at least 10 years ago, 20 years ago, we only had to worry about pretty much the network, right? So the network in the middle, as long as you're inside that network, your computers are in that network, you're fine. You have nothing to worry about. There's firewalls and all that stuff. As long as everything's protected within that network, you're good to go. And then people started using cloud environments, starting using AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, right? So now you have to worry about that environment as well, and making sure that that environment is also protected, whether it's data, websites, servers, and so on and so forth. And then last year, there's a whole explosion of working from home just because of the pandemic, right? So many companies were forced to tell their employees, you're going to have to work from home. We're shutting down. And now, that's become more and more common, right? And we don't know, when is that going to come back? When do we go back to the office? Is it going to come back to the same way as before? Nobody knows. So what's happened is that perimeter that used to be contained in the 4 walls of a building or a data center has expanded dramatically to the cloud, to the users, to the endpoints. We now have smart devices, we have IoT devices, and so on and so forth. So something to think about, because if the perimeter, or you've got data in these spaces, right? You have to protect them. You have to make sure that those endpoints, those cloud environments, are fully protected. Now, what companies have done, obviously, is they've purchased next-gen firewall on-prem. They installed next-gen firewall, or they're using basically the standard firewall in Amazon, maybe, or maybe they're just using ACL. And then on the endpoint, they're using all sorts of other products just to control that. That's just to make sure that there's security there. And that has created complexity, right? So that whole ecosystem of different products, of different vendors, of management, of trying to learn, of trying to, look at all those alerts, trying to manage all those vendors, right? It's become really, really complicated. And there's a lot of manual process and slow response when it comes to, addressing any kind of issues, whether it's troubleshooting or if there's a breach, because there's not a lot of integration between these products, right? You've got your switches from another vendor. You've got your firewall from another vendor. You've got your AP from another vendor. So all these things are all being managed by one team, and they're all struggling, right? We've got obviously a huge, expertise as well in the cybersecurity space, right? Lack of trained people, right? So I mean, it's getting better and better, but it's still, there's so many things that needs to be done on the security, on the network side of things. And then the overall cost and complexity of that environment, managing all those vendors, managing all those products is just really costly, right? And that's why we created the Fortinet Security Fabric. So the Fortinet Security Fabric is a broad ecosystem. It's an entire platform that will protect you from endpoints to the network to the cloud throughout the entire digital attack surface, right? So that's why you see the keyword there, broad, because we've got so many solutions for you that can take care of whether it's an endpoint problem or an endpoint protection, right? Or applications, or in the network, switches, APs, cloud, whatever, you name it, we probably have it, right? So, and all this is all the entire fabric is centered around the integration with our industry leading next gen SD-WAN appliance, right? So this is an all-in-one solution. Our FortiGate next gen firewall has SD-WAN capabilities built in. There's no additional licenses required to enable SD-WAN. It's a feature that you just turn on. And across the entire fabric is integration with this with our next gen solution, right? So with that integration, you can do a lot of automation. So for example, with integration with our FortiClient, for example, you can quarantine. Our FortiClient is our endpoint protection, right? And our visibility, endpoint visibility platform. With that integration, you can quarantine an uninfected endpoint automatically, right? Also, if you have our 40 switches integrated to our next gen firewall, you can turn off a port automatically if there is a infection that happens on the endpoint that is connected to that port. And that extends to the wireless. We've got our 40 APs, which is our access point. So this next gen firewall is extended to your LAN, to your wireless. And that's the power of integration and automation, right? Instead of managing multiple point products, instead of managing, a firewall from vendor A and a switch from vendor B, you can just manage everything from one solution. Why make it complicated for yourself, right? And if we look at it deeper, you can see the broad, and these are just some of the products, but I want to point out from a zero trust network access, right? You can see the endpoint, the NAC, the identity, access management, we've got those solutions, right? From security driven networking that I mentioned. Okay, so this is your infrastructure. This is making sure that your infrastructure has security, whether it's the LAN or the wireless. The security is driving that infrastructure. The design, the architecture is driven by security, right? We've got our next gen firewall, which has built-in SD-WAN, as I've mentioned. We've got our wireless and LAN, and also we've got our SASE solution as well. In the cloud, you've got our WAF, right? So our FortiWeb for protecting those web applications, and we've got CASB. We've got obviously our next gen firewall as well, being able to deploy in the cloud to make sure that your cloud environment is protected, right? And then the last key point here is the AI security operations. So making sure that your security operations center or your SOC and the analyst are using, or at least being augmented, AI-driven tools, right? So whether it's a SIEM solution or our FortiEDR or our FortiSOAR, these are all solutions that provide automation in the SOC, okay? And that's all these solutions are all integrated and managed by our Fabric Management Center, which is basically the FortiManager and FortiAnalyzer. So there's integration across all these products, right? On top of that, we want to make sure that other products that you have in your environment are also plugging into the fabric. So we make it easy for you to utilize the fabric and integrate into our Fortinet Security Fabric by using fabric connectors. So these are basically icons on our firewalls or on our FortiManager or on our SIEM to basically integrate all these other third-party solutions, right? So whether it's through fabric connector, a fabric API, whether it's for DevOps, And we have also alliances or partnerships with other companies such as the Cyber Threat Alliance, right? To make sure that at the end of the day, we're not just keeping the intelligence for our Fortinet, for just Fortinet and Fortinet customers, that we're sharing it to the entire industry and to the entire world. At the end of the day, we're all up against, you know, the bad guys, right? We're all trying to protect, the customers and the entire world from basically cyber crime. So, and that's why we're doing all this stuff. So on top of that, this whole solution is backed by FortiGuard Labs. So the FortiGuard Labs is pretty much an organization on its own under the Fortinet umbrella that takes care of those updates, the research that goes into what's happening on the industry, as well as what's happening with a particular malware and so on, and the discoveries of all those malicious threats are done by these guys. So we've got over 200 researchers and analysts they're basically part of this organization. And you can see there we've got 8 dedicated labs worldwide in over 31 countries, and we're seeing 100 billion of security events per day. And that's because we've got probably one of the most deployed next-gen firewalls in the world, because we have so many models, right, from a very small branch office firewall all the way to hyperscale data centers, that multi-chassis data centers for the enterprise. So one of the things I want to focus on today is security-driven networking, and specifically SD-WAN, right? So SD-WAN is about transforming your WAN, right? So if you're not familiar with that term, it's basically this technology or methodology or platform that allows you to use multiple links to basically enhance the overall experience of your users, right? It's very cost effective, and it's very effective when it comes to managing the links, managing applications, and basically routing those traffic to the right path. So that's what I want to share with you guys, is about making sure that you're securing and transforming your WAN edge, or that WAN links, right, between your companies, between the branches. So we're coming from a network that is mainly using IP based, in the past, all IPs, very reactive. There's a lot of manual process, and people that are mainly working from the home, or sorry, working from the office. But we've moved on from that to more of an application-driven networks, right? We're looking at applications now. It's not just IPs, not just ports. We have to look at applications and what the applications are doing. So we need predictive analytics. We need something that is more, not reactive, but more, predictive, as the word says, right? And then also automation, right? We need automation in order to do that, and also be able to work from anywhere, whether it's a coffee shop, a hotel, home office, or in the headquarters, right? It doesn't matter where you are. You have to be protected. It has to be equal, the same type of security wherever you go. Okay, so some of the things that people the reasons why customers move to an SD-WAN solution is, again, that improved user experience, right? So why, basically, if you got a branch in, I don't know, in British Columbia, for example, and your data center is in Ontario, why would you want that traffic to, from the user that needs to go out to, Office 365, or need to browse the internet? Why do you need to backhaul or drag all that traffic back to Ontario when you can just let it out through through your British Columbia office, right? Through your Vancouver or wherever office, right? So with SD-WAN, you can do that. Now, also that instant ROI benefit, because you're pretty much replacing a lot of those expensive MPLS connections with, just regular internet connections, right? And basically applying VPN connections on top of those to make sure that they're secure. and some companies are still using MPLS, but also adding capabilities and availability using, other broadband connections like whether it's DSL connection or fiber or whatever the case may be, or even LTE, right? So um, those are all applicable to an SD-WAN deployment. Those links can all be used by an SD-WAN appliance, right? And then last but not the least is that simplified operations, right? Making sure that, when you deploy a branch, when you deploy, your routers and stuff like that, that you're not going through CLI one by one. You're not logging on to each device one by one. You are actually going into a central management and making it easy for you, for your administrators, and for your company to bring up a site, using templates, using a central management. And that's the power of an SD-WAN solution. Now, not all SD-WAN, solutions are equal, right? And there's going to be problems when you move to SD-WAN. Some of them will have problems scaling, right? Beyond 100 sites, for example. Some of them will have performance issues when you enable certain features and stuff like that, right? So, and then also some of them are licensed differently, right? So there's different things that you have to pay for if you add additional features, right? So those are some of the things you have to pay attention to if you are moving or if you are evaluating an SD-WAN solution. And then also, last but not the least, there's companies out there that in order for them to catch up with other companies like Fortinet, they've started buying other companies and doing mergers, right? So because it's not easy to build an SD-WAN solution from the ground up, right? So it's not something that you can just do, overnight. It's, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of research and development. So, and that's why other companies are just pulling in other companies and say, hey, let's merge. We'll just buy you. We'll just add you on here to our solution, and you're gonna be our SD-WAN solution. Now you're gonna have to manage one. If you're the customer of that particular vendor, you have to manage one firewall, from whatever it's called, and then you have to manage the SD-WAN, and they're two different appliances, right? Because they're not integrated together. So when you're dealing with a Fortinet secure SD-WAN, you know that you are dealing with an appliance that knows application, right? It's application driven because we are a next gen firewall from the very beginning, so we understand applications. And then also we have something called an ASIC. So this is a processor that we build ourselves, we manufacture, that we can basically tell it what to do, what needs to do. And that one of the things that we've done is to make sure that that ASIC, that hardware, is enhancing the SD-WAN capabilities of our appliances. And then last but not the least, we've got that central management to make sure that your operations, your efficiency is going to be efficient, right? So just looking at that history of that, just the ASIC in general, we started with in 2019, we released the first ever ASIC chip that is optimized for SD-WAN, so on the 100F. And then as you can see here, in October 2020, we released our 200F model with the latest ASIC chip. Okay, so, and this is just with the ASIC, right? So the SD-WAN itself started way even before that. It started on 5.6. And we are now on version 6.4.4, which is the latest, and we're actually coming out with the latest releases, which is version 7. And we have an event on March 9th, which is Accelerate, and that's where you can find out all about the new features and the new functionality of our solution, specifically the SD-WAN and the next gen firewall and all the other solutions that we have. All right, so moving on, what is a typical use case for an SD-WAN deployment? So if you're a large company, global presence, for example, you will have better application experience if you are using our secure SD-WAN solution because of that next-gen capability, the security that's built in, and that application steering that is built into the appliance. Now, if you are in the retail space, if you have small branch, if you only have a small branch that, you know, doesn't have a lot of infrastructure, you can have our SD-WAN solution in there, which is basically our next-gen firewall. Why install 2 boxes when you can install 1, right? Why complicate your branch office? And then if you're a cloud-first type of company, you were born in the cloud, well, our next-gen firewall can be deployed in the cloud. We are available in Amazon. We're available in AWS, in Azure, in Google, and all the all the other major cloud providers. So it's just a matter of basically going to the marketplace, looking for the FortiGate, and then using our product and subscribing to basically that the usage, right, from the vendor or from the cloud provider. And the same functionality that you're going to get from an on-prem device, our hardware appliance or VM, is also available in the cloud. It's the same exact software. It's the same exact solution. And then last but not the least, if you're a company that cares about the security of your company, which should be everybody, you need to use a secure SD-WAN solution. Because if you're just using a regular SD-WAN solution that doesn't have security, you're gonna have to worry about a firewall and all that stuff, and it's just gonna be more complicated for you. So for those security sensitive WAN deployments, which is everyone, you need to look at Fortinet, because we've got the highest ranking from Gartner from a security sensitive WAN use case, and also from a small footprint retail. And that's because of our integration with our products, our switches, our APs integrated to the next gen firewall, in an all-in-one solution, right? I talked about the application-driven networks, right? So our solution is constantly learning about applications. We've got over 5,000 applications right now that we can identify, and we've got reliable accuracy in terms of that traffic, right? Because our solution is able to decrypt as well from an encryption perspective. Those encrypted traffic can be decrypted using the same appliance because it's our next gen firewall. We've got intelligent steering, making sure that your application is using the best link and making sure that it's using the one that is available to you for that application. And then also, because of that, we are able to remediate all those failures or anything like that seamlessly through our SD-WAN technology. And here are some of the things that our customers have seen in terms of the application performance, and also with the capability to self-heal those links, right? So Cincinnati, which is one of the largest technical colleges in Peru, has seen 60% improved bandwidth availability once they deployed the Fortinet Secure SD-WAN solution. Waste management, very popular logo. You probably have seen it. They take care of all the waste from basically all the buildings and all that stuff. They've seen 38% improve from a voice application performance. And then Rollins, which is a global pest control company, has seen 70% improvement from a multicast application performance. So as you can see, I mean, these companies are benefiting from our all-in-one solution, next-gen SD-WAN solution, from a application performance perspective. On top of that, you've got that convergence that I've talked about because of the ability to provide that security as well as the routing in one solution, right? So looking forward to the cloud, it's the same thing, right? So we've got, as I mentioned before, we are available in major cloud providers. If you want to use SD-WAN in there, you can definitely do that, okay? And here's just it's quite a few things to look at here, but these are all the these are all the functionality that we have on our FortiOS, right? So from a security perspective, right there, app control, AV, IPS, botnet, URL filtering, all that stuff is all part of the solution. And then from a networking perspective, obviously the segmentation, the firewalling, the VPN, we even have, internal segmentation and all that stuff. That's all part of that. Okay. Some more feedback from our customers. Again, waste management, 65% reduction in costs when they move to an SD-WAN solution, right? So using MPLS versus SD-WAN basically saved them 65% reduction, 65% reduction cost. Roll-ins, 32% basically savings, 5 million plus savings with the Fortinet solution. And in the paper store, again, 46% reduced WAN costs with our solution. So lots and lots of reduction in cost, and also improvement in the performance because of that SD-WAN capability. And then from a operations perspective, we've got our centralized management. So it's not something where, hey, you have to manage every single box. You do have the capability to manage everything. SD-WAN, the next gen firewall, from a single pane of glass. So that makes it easier for your IT staff to make sure that every branch has a consistent experience and has a consistent security, because you're applying the same set of templates, you're applying the same set of security policies for all those branches. And as you can see there, it's probably a little tiny, but you've got dashboards and all that stuff. You've got a unified NOC and SOC dashboard, and that's important because your SOC usually is focused on the security alerts, but using the same tools as the NOC team, make your SOC team better when it comes to troubleshooting, because they understand the network, right? So that's important. And there's dashboards for application performance and analytics and so on and so forth. So, and again, some more feedback from our customers here. 50% reduction in network setup, basically in terms of bringing up a branch. So that's significant. Credit has 90% basically of their remote flows. They were able to migrate them in a few days, just because of the solution that we have. And then Kennard's higher, 75% deployment, basically reduction in their deployment, right? They were able to deploy their the solution within 8 weeks, when compared to before it was like it would take them months and months. Okay. So as you saw there, this is a proven technology, right? So it's been around for quite a long time. The SD-WAN is part of our operating system. It's part of the next gen firewall. It's not like a bolt-on feature or something like that. It's not like something else that's just added on. It's built from the ground up with our next gen firewall. And if you head over to the Gartner Peer Insights Customer's Choice website, we've been chosen as the Customer's Choice for 2021 for the WAN Edge / next gen firewall capability. We've got the highest rating and the most reviews amongst all the top vendors on that website. So check it out and see for yourself. See what other companies or what other customers are saying about the Fortinet Secure SD-WAN solution. On top of that, we've been named for 2020 as the leader, as one of the leaders for the network firewalls, which is next gen firewalls, as well as the SD-WAN or the WAN Edge. So that's important, that you're dealing with companies that are leading the market, right? You don't want to go with a company that is fairly new to the space. You want somebody that has been doing this for quite some time and has the security built right in from the beginning. So I've showed you guys this earlier. So I mean, at the end, we're not done yet, right? So these are just some of the things that we're doing right now, right? So, but in the future, you'll see more and more of AI powered solutions from us. Better orchestration and so on. so we're just going to keep getting better. We're just going to keep leading the market. And that's something that we're going to continue because we believe in that security driven networking vision, right? So going with a Fortinet Secure SD-WAN, you're going with the leader in the space. You're getting the best return on investment based on, what you're going to see out there from a cost perspective. And that's because of our ASIC chip. We are able to control the cost of manufacturing hardware, and we're able to we're able to pass those on to you guys. The self-healing capabilities. And then one of the most scalable management platform out there is also from Fortinet. Okay. Let's look at some customers that are fairly familiar for, a lot of you. Home hardware is using our secure SD-WAN solution. 2.3 billion customers 2.3 billion in revenue. They are using our secure SD-WAN solution. We competed with Meraki and VeloCloud. At the end of the day, they were trying to do some consolidation and want to make sure that from a PCI, from a compliance perspective, that they're taken care of, and also that centralized management, right? And they were able to see that with our solution. We were able to provide that with our solution, right? So in the end, they are given this agility that they now have with our solution, being able to use any kind of connection, LTE, DSL, MPLS, or whatever, and also connectivity to the cloud, right? Using our solution. Another one from Turkey, Petrol Ofisi. I don't know if I pronounced that properly, but a fairly large fuel company out of Turkey, 19 billion revenue. They are using our solution as well. They were looking for consistent connectivity. They were looking for dynamic WAN steering. They're looking for a simplified and centralized management, and they were able to see that with our solution, right? So they were able to make sure that they have business continuity with the Fortinet Secure SD-WAN solution by utilizing various connectivity, whether it's DSL, LTE, and that security, again, that next-gen firewall that's built right in. So they are able to provide that, local browsing for their users. So at this point, what I want to say is that I want to, challenge you guys to reach out to us and utilize basically our secure SD-WAN assessment. So this is something that we offer for free for customers and potential customers. And what this does is we will deploy, whether it's a virtual appliance or an actual appliance in your environment, and there's no changes whatsoever that's going to be done in the environment. We're basically just taking the traffic, or you'd be mirroring a traffic from your environment and then sending it to the box that's deployed in your environment from us. And what's going to happen is we're going to provide you, after 7 days, provide you some visibility in terms of how much you're going to save if you move from your current connection or your current SD-WAN solution to a Fortinet solution, as well as some of the security gaps that you are going to see or that you are lacking in your environment. So there's going to be a nice report that you will have that you can then present to your management and say, hey, we need to move to SD-WAN because this is how much we're going to save, when we move to an SD-WAN solution. So hopefully that was helpful. At this point, I'm going to give the mic back to Mike to, ask questions or anything that you guys want, and we can discuss them further.
Yeah. So we're basically done, really. But if people have questions, I can. I'm hearing echo there. I can unmute you, and we can ask any questions. Just put your hand up, and I'll look through the list to see whoever needs to be unmuted, and I can get some questions out. Other than that, if you are interested in doing the assessment, I'll be sending out some information. Just get back to me, and we can set up a time where we can do the assessment for you guys. Okay, so anybody have any questions right now? Ooh, look at them all come in. Nope. No questions. Everybody says they're good for now. Oliver, wow, I haven't seen you in a long time. Okay. So again, if there's any questions and you don't feel like answering,
Glenn is saying he can't unmute himself. Maybe
I can
maybe you
unmute.
can just type your question. If
I
you have a
can unmute.
question, Glenn, or whoever, it looks like, yeah, I believe the participants are not able to unmute themselves.
Yeah, I was getting some. Okay,
Glenn
I
is
think
unmuted now.
Christine actually unmuted me. Can everybody hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I appreciate the
we can hear
presentation,
you.
guys. So I'm on the infrastructure side of this this industry. I work with Michael on a number of different, I guess, let's say, prospective ideas with his clientele, and I'm hoping that I can actually bring some opportunities to you for these assessments. So I'm in the digital real estate space, so I typically don't get involved with customers' hardware. But in recent years, I'm having a lot more success with these transformation discussions when we look outside of the box. So instead of just providing ping, power, pipe, and space, I'm getting a little more granular with the customer, finding out, well, what's going in to this facility and how are you reaching the rest of the world? So SD-WAN is a hot topic. So, security always is, but now you're coupling security with SD-WAN. And, what I might do, Michael, if it's okay, I'm thinking about bringing some prospective clients to you. Maybe we can work in tandem and provide, an assessment to somebody that's looking to set up shop in my data center, which also might bring an opportunity for you on the hardware side, right? So if it's not cloud-based, I don't really care about what's going in the racks, but I'm actually having more success when I'm diving into that bill of materials, because people don't tend to move their old infrastructure to a data center. They invest in new technologies, and this is the best time to start having these kinds of conversations. So if it's okay, I wouldn't mind extending myself into your world and maybe proposing some of these assessments.
For sure, Glenn. This is what we were using for the last set of things that we were doing. What you were working with Christine. This is
well, strength and partnerships, right? But I mean,
yeah.
I don't really get into the SD-WAN side of things, but when someone's moving into a data center, a lot of times there's a number of different locations and users that are connecting to that specific hub. And like I said, SD-WAN is becoming more relevant in all of these discussions. So I think there's some conversations we can have together.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll go over the last.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely some things we can do. I just need to. I want to, working with you, I think we're going to find bigger and better deals. I appreciate you guys putting this together. I'm gonna jump in a second because I'm hosting my own call in 9 minutes, so I got to get prepped for that. But I really appreciate you guys putting this together.
Okay.
No problem.
Thanks, guys.
Does anybody else have any other questions? Put it in the. Just say unmute me. No. Looks like we are out of questions. Hey, Josh. Yeah, it looks like we're out of questions for now. I truly appreciate you guys sticking with us. Sorry for the technical issues of people getting in at the start here. We can take a look at that and learn for the next time. But Murphy's Law always happens. But thank you guys for coming out, and hopefully I'll be getting in touch with everybody that's on this call plus others in the next day or so. Thank you again.